Welcome to Native Calgarian and Mossy for listening. I'm your host, Michelle Robinson, speaking to you in Mohkinstsis in the Blackfoot Confederacy, home of the Niitsitapi, Tsuut'ina Dene, and the Yiharhi Nakota. I talk about history, current news, unheard news, book clubs, with special guests to give local or national issues a voice through an urban Satu Dene lens. My life's work will be to honor the voices of my ancestors and next generation with humor, love, and truth. Reconciliation is work, not performance. May we honor all Indigenous voices with that courage. Today is August 12th, 2025. Welcome to Native Calgarian. If you enjoy hearing Indigenous content by this Satu Dene woman, my Patreon account is Native Calgarian, where you can pledge and support. Thank you, previous donors, for showing your support. For those who cannot afford to give, I'd love to hear from you at nativeyyc@gmail.com, where you can send in your comments or questions. Also, giving a review helps whatever medium you're listening from. I have a YouTube channel that you can go and subscribe, or you can go to nativecalgarian.com for the latest podcasts and pin posts on social media. And always remember to share with your network the things you learned here today. Oki, naganago, mekoche chestakomaki, dekots nagote ne siku. My name is Red Thunder Woman. My married English name is Michelle Robinson. I use they, them pronouns. My Dene lineage roots me in the land of the Great Bear Lake tribe in Treaty 11 in Delaney. I'm a native to Turtle Island, and my Dene nation is uninvited to this area of Clincho Tine Indahe in Satu Dene, meaning Many Big Dog Town, named after the Calgary Stampede. I was born in Calgary, or in Blackfoot, Mohkinstsis, as Michelle Elliott, an English name that has afforded me privilege in an English colonial world. Acknowledging proximity to whiteness is important, because the darker the skin, the more racism a person experiences in colonial spaces. My late great-grandfather is Milo Bewell from Delaney. His daughter Alice is my now late granny. My mother and I are Northern Slavey Dene, or Satu Dene, but my Indian Act Imposed status card by the Canadian government says Yellowknives Dene. Through my father, I am a daughter of the Mayflower and a daughter of the American Revolution. Having a Canadian Indian Act Imposed status card is a colonial construct by Canadian policies meant to divide Indigenous peoples' inherent rights. Indigenous Two-Spirit, or the Twoist LGBTQ community, and Indigenous women are at the bottom of the Canadian socio-economic ladder because of colonial trauma, imposed poverty, racism, gendered violence, and land theft. I'm not a social worker nor an elder, nor do I speak on behalf of all Indigenous peoples, but I share my journey as a Dene mom navigating this ableist, colonial, misogynistic, racist world in 2025. I think of all of this today, and I hope we honor the many Indigenous lives lost for the so-called country called Canada. I hope everyone sees their role in the importance of stopping harm as a citizen and see a role in reconciliation as a treaty partner. Land Back is a movement that could save the planet from climate change created by colonialism, but it would be a part of a treaty partnership, part of meaningful reconciliation, and honoring global initiatives like the United Nations on the rights of Indigenous people. As a former geomatics drafter, I'd love to teach you more. We can go to nativecalgarian.com for more. And today, out of all days, is one of those days that is going to be a very difficult conversation for many people. So just a trigger warning, if you're not in a space to listen and talk about murder and death, this is not the one for you. And please remember that this is an opinion podcast, and I refuse to take any legal responsibility from some jackhole that can't hear the word alleged enough. You can suck it. And with that, I am going to allow my friends to introduce themselves in their way. Naomi, would you like to go first?
Yes, I'm Naomi Agnew, Kiara Agnew's stepmother.
And Tanya, would you like to introduce yourself?
And my name is Tanya Agnew, and Kiara is my niece. Trevor Agnew, Naomi's husband, is my brother.
Wonderful. Now, I don't know which one of you would like to tell a little bit about Kiara's story. Just because this is international jurisdiction, I think that's what makes this one so much more complicated. So if you would like to explain what happened, yeah, please go ahead.
Kiara went to Mexico to celebrate her 24th birthday. She went to Cancun with her boyfriend. And It was on March the 3rd, 8 days before her 24th birthday, that we got the horrific call that she was found deceased in a laundry room, and he was laying next to her lifeless body when she was found by a janitor.
That's terrible. So what happened from there? What now I had seen the petition and I had a look and it looked like one, they were in a domestic violent relationship, and two, he was literally found there with like, bloodied knuckles and she was beat up and killed in that way.
Yes, yes, he was laying next to her, covered in her blood, and they had had domestic violence in their relationship beforehand. Kiara had told her father that they were seeking help for that and things was better, and that everything was going okay before they went to Mexico, that they were getting help for the domestic violence that was in their relationship.
Well, what a jerk. Um,
I think it should be noted as well that they were there less than 12 hours.
Yes,
so
yes.
it's like literally you feel like it's something he planned to do immediately once he got there.
I think there has to be more to it to happen so quickly. And we have heard many different versions from his inner circle. And I guess most recently he had to sit down with Kiara's mom and her aunt on her mom's side. And so we have secondhand knowledge of what was said and kind of his account of what had happened. Do you think we should share that, Naomi?
We can share what he claims to have had happen that night.
Yeah.
His claim, which was not spoke of for over 2 years, that just come out, is that they had gone to the beach and he didn't care for the beach, so they went back to the bar where they both was drinking. He supposedly had quite a few drinks. Kiara only had a couple. He was tired because he had been working quite a bit before the trip to Mexico, and they went back to the hotel room where he in turn went to go to bed, and she went out to take pictures. He claims that a couple hours later he was awoken by her screams, which, mind you, it was like 250 meters from their hotel room where her body was found. And he claims that he woke up to her screaming, and that he went and she was behind a locked door and he had to beat it in, and that's how he got his injuries. And then he blacked out and doesn't know what happened after she told him that she had been raped and abused by somebody. And he claims that he blacked out and he don't remember what happened that night, but he
Was
was found next to her with her blood on him and his injuries that he claimed to have got from a door he broke down. But in the reports that we have seen, the door wasn't broke down, because to our knowledge, from what I have read and seen, is that there was a call that there was blood found in a hallway, and the cleaning guy went to the spot, and when he went to open the closet, where it's a laundry room and a cleaning supply closet, when he went to open that is when he seen her laying there and Ryan next to her, and she was beat very badly. She was brutally beat.
was he arrested on the spot?
He was arrested. Yes, he was arrested right then when the police got there.
Did you guys get a copy of whatever bull he gave the cops at that time?
No, we did not.
Hmm. Is that kind of part of the issue here where you're trying to get help with these Mexican authorities and they're just not being cooperative?
It's been
That's
a
exactly the
Yeah.
yeah, and then
yeah.
on top of it, we've actually contacted a lawyer, and it's a process that we're trying to get done where, you know, everything has to be proven that Trevor what is Kiara's father, and then this lawyer can actually hopefully get the copies so we can see more of what transpired before the appeal comes.
All right, awkward question. Is the relationship between Kira's dad and mom so bad that they're not sharing that type of information, or is it she just doesn't have it either?
It's that bad,
It's
unfortunately.
It's
It's
pretty
it's
bad.
it's,
Yeah.
it's pretty bad, yeah. And
Okay.
I mean, certainly just finding out about this kind of backdoor meeting was it was very hard for our side of the family to hear that. Especially our stances if like the theme of the meeting was getting the Justice for Kiara movement stopped. That's the page that Trevor's side of the family, Dad's side of the family runs. And we're really starting to get some momentum, like some true crimers are picking up on it, you're picking up on it, and we're starting to get momentum. And employers are starting to hear about it. And Ryan recently lost his job, and they're trying to pin that on us, even though one of his coworkers reached out and said, I worked with him. He's like, he got fired on his own accord. But like we're making things difficult. So what we're doing is working. And we were told from somebody who was brought in towards the end of the meeting that the theme of the meeting was we have to get the Agnew side of the family to stop what they're doing because we're ruining Ryan's life. They
He
called
figured
Kiara a
he could do
liar.
that. Yeah, he figured he could do that
Yeah,
through
through
the
that side
mom.
of the family. And our
Yeah.
stance is if you have something to say, then you can say that on the stand at the appeal. His story doesn't make sense for many different reasons. Kiara's brainstem wasn't even connected to her spine anymore. There was no way she was crying and screaming at that point when he said he heard her. There was no connection between her brain and her spinal column. There was no evidence of rape. Like we have the autopsy. It just doesn't make sense. Like if that did happen, because I want to make it very clear. If he wasn't responsible, we don't want him going down for something he didn't commit either. We want the person who took Kiara's life to be held responsible.
Hmm.
Just for a second, Michelle, I went back into my religion, and one of the men at my church said to me, me and my wife just come back from Mexico, and we were sitting there talking about Kiara's case. And I thought, he said, I'm a God-fearing man. He said, but if somebody found my wife's dead body, they would have found mine before because they would have had to get through me to get to her. You know what I mean? And I'm sure your husband would attest to the same thing. He's going to protect you at all costs. Why didn't he scream for help? Why was he covered in her blood?
Yeah. Well,
There
and
was no
why would she have
life-saving
left the
measures
room?
done to her.
Like, was she a
Exactly.
sleepwalker? Like, did she sleepwalk regularly? Is this why she would have left the
no,
room?
he claims that she left the room to go to the beach to take pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds pretty fishy. That sounds like all
It sounds
like a
pretty scary.
that sounds like a story you would tell if you just killed your you know, girlfriend and wife and yeah, I that sounds
Oh,
pretty fishy.
and I think you would be screaming to anybody who would hear you from the Mexican jail cell, who we all know is the worst conditions in the world. Oh my God, it wasn't me. We have to find who did it. But it was crickets. It was silence, right? He never once tried to pursue justice of the woman that he supposedly loved and wanted to protect.
Yeah,
Like,
that's the
why aren't
other
you
thing. And
protected
I've
with
seen
us?
this before. I've seen this like I grew up in Sylvan Lake and I remember the murder of Lois Lane. She was the one who owned the bowling alley and we all knew it was her husband, but obviously the RCMP were so inept they couldn't possibly put two and two together. So or i.e. couldn't find the evidence. So anyway, you know, that was the whole thing. It was a silence that, you know, they weren't trying to find somebody else. Come on. Come on. Like if anyone, like you are both on this show because you loved this girl and you want justice for this girl. But I sure haven't been reached out by you know, her ex who supposedly loved her so much. I haven't
No,
heard or seen him in the news. You know,
no.
like that doesn't make any sense. You know, I'm Indigenous and in our community, and I kind of thought by your last name you guys might be Indigenous. We are always making noise about somebody who goes missing or murdered. Always.
Yeah.
We're always having vigils. We're always out there doing these things. I fought really hard for the national inquiry. I always talk about the 231 calls to justice. Like, I will not shut up about it. I will die with that on my gravestone. I just
Yeah.
cannot wrap my head around any of the silence at all, because people who
Yeah.
love people are trying to advocate for justice. So that doesn't make sense
Yeah.
to me either.
No, it
No,
why when he did get released, why he's not fighting to try to find who done this. Why?
Yeah.
why he's just trying to silence us.
Well, that's the other thing. Why would he try to
Yeah.
silence you? Why wouldn't he
Yeah.
agree? Why wouldn't he be like, I don't like Naomi and Tanya, but we all loved Kiara and we all want to see her killer brought to justice. Like, these are
Yeah.
things you can say.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I 1,000% agree with that. And I find it, I did a keynote speech for Kiara back in May. I was flown across country to speak about her case. So I really dug into her journal entries. And one thing I found was her first journal entry about the abuse. The first time Ryan abused her, I believe, was it was on April 23rd or April 25th. And she wrote, "I can't believe what Ryan did to me 2 days ago." And she journaled it, and he had beat her head against the headboard and laid down next to her and fell asleep. She said he was so mad he blacked out and didn't believe me and woke up. And when he fell asleep, I left. And Michelle, from the bottom of my heart, I feel that's what happened. Ryan said he blacked out in that meeting, and I probably believe he did black out, but it's not in the situation that he's trying to convince himself of why he blacked out. He blacked out, and in my opinion, because they have threatened legal proceedings on us. So I much appreciated your intro. It is our opinion, based on the evidence that we saw, the journal entries that we've read, that Ryan Friesen murdered Kiara Agnew. That is our opinion. Until we see evidence otherwise, that is our opinion.
Yep.
And she forecasted it. That's what happened down there. He beat her to death, and he laid down next to her just like he did the first time.
Yeah, I'm really sorry.
And that's how they were found.
Yep. I'm really sorry.
It's eerie.
It's
eerie.
Terrible. It's exactly what she already wrote. And then it's like well, this is what abusers do. And so, just to be totally clear to the world, I believe women, and I believe that both Tanya and Naomi have Kiara's best interests at heart. Kiara's dead, and we all need to speak for Kiara. That's my position. And if that jackhole isn't out there speaking, which he ain't, he's trying to silence you, he's guilty. That's my opinion. And I don't care what anybody else thinks. That's my opinion. I will never respect this man. I want him in jail because he is an abuser. He's a predator, and he needs to be in jail because he's just going to do it to another person.
There was girls that came forward to different family members, like up to the tune of 6 different girls, ex-girlfriends or just girls that he was sexually involved with, that he had raped some of them, he had beat on some of them, and the stories that we were told is that his father told them that, shut your mouth, you made my son do this, you triggered him, you made him angry. Well,
so he's a piece of shit too. And that's on my record. I don't fucking care. Like, that guy can eat my shit too, because that's disgusting.
You know what?
And that is why Ryan is the way he is, because Ryan was raised to be a wife beater by that father. Piece of shit.
Yes. Yes.
So I'm really sorry to hear that.
He's never been held accountable. He's never been held accountable. And in that meeting, I don't want to name their names because certainly I respect their privacy, but there was members close to Kiara who was invited at the end. And there was a man and a woman who was there. And the woman said, Kiara told me personally, Grant Friesen, that's Ryan's father's name. Kiara told me personally, Grant, that she come to you and asked you for help, that Ryan was doing these things to her. And he looked at this woman and he said, Kiara's a liar. And Kiara had told this woman that I went to Grant, and Grant told me it was my fault because I had triggered Ryan. And that was the exact same thing all these other girls are saying. There's a history, there's a pattern, and this family needs to be put in check fucking fast.
Yeah, no. I have no problem with and honestly, this is a note to the family. Try to sue me. I'd love to have this go national news. I would love this to go international news. I dare you to try to sue me because this is bullshit. Like we're on the back end of the what these stupid Hockey Canada kids did to this young woman, right? Like we all know Canadian men like are ridiculous. Well, some are ridiculous, like these two. So I just want you to know.
Ryan was a hockey player too. Did you know that
Oh,
about
shocking.
him?
I'm so shocked.
He was what was he, Naomi? He was on the minors. He was on the Dawson Creek Canucks and was on another one. And the Dawson Creeks come out and made a statement because they were getting so much backlash. And they come out and did make a statement saying he is not playing for us. He will never be playing for us. Please, leave us out of it. But absolutely, he was another one of those hockey players. It's there.
Wow. Yeah, I grew up in Sylvan Lake and like rape culture was quite normalized there with the hockey camp, so I 100% just have no respect. And see that it is the pattern of how we allow these boys to be raised is disgusting. So I really appreciate you both sharing that. Now we have a legal GoFundMe, and I'm assuming the family's trying to shut that down.
Yeah.
Yes. Actually, his mother started commenting on one of our posts, and she was ridiculing us for trying to raise money for Kiara. Michelle, we're not rich people. We don't come from a rich family. We have things, everything we have we had to work hard for. Nobody ever gave us anything. And you know what? They may have worked against us a little bit. But regardless, we got where we are because of hard work and ethics and integrity. And she is mocking us online for the GoFundMe. She says maybe people would take us seriously if we stopped begging for money. Like this is what Ryan Friesen's mom, Leah Friesen, has said to us online. I have screenshots of it.
Wow. Absolutely imagine saying that to a victim's family. Like you have to be the worst of the worst piece of shit in order to say that to a victim's family, even when you disagree. And I just can't even imagine disagreeing with somebody that we all loved. Obviously, they didn't. I just can't imagine it. I'm so sorry. So yeah, I'm again happily share whatever screenshots you want because I have no problem being that jerk. None.
Oh, I absolutely will. She said to us, what was another one, Naomi? If that was my daughter, you best believe I would have got her out of there.
Yes. And I mean,
what? What? Sorry, Naomi, go ahead.
I just don't understand where she figures that it's just as easy as getting her out of there because she really did not know the situation in my belief, because if you're in an abusive situation, it's not just pack your bag and leave. You love them. Kiara loved him. She thought that she could fix him, change him, because they had trauma bonded over the loss of them both losing their brothers.
Damn. Ugh. I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm just so sad that here Kiera truly gave her heart to someone who would absolutely kill her. And it just breaks my heart to hear that. So, and knowing now that you've had another loss, you've lost a nephew. So that's heartbreaking.
Yeah. My brother had 3 kids and 2 of them passed away within 2.5 years?
2.5 years.
20. Yeah.
I'm really sorry.
Jordan was 20 and Kiara was 8 days shy of 24.
Yeah. And as stepmom, this must be very hard. I'm really sorry.
It's there's not a day goes by that you don't think of him, you don't miss him, and to hear some of the stuff his family says and act like he's a victim. No, was the victim in this. Ryan was not the victim, and Ryan, in my personal opinion, don't deserve to breathe. He deserves yet along a job and a normal life.
And I
Really?
just say it's working. It's proof it's working. We're getting to him. We're holding him accountable when his family can't. And when we heard about that meeting, you know, for as angry as I was kind of went to bed smiling that night, because I know we're living rent free in the Friesen mind, the craziest place probably on this earth. But we're making a difference that way. And you're going to help us make a difference, Michelle, in this podcast. And hopefully the Mexican authorities will make sure there's a just verdict that comes out in this appeal. And that's really what we're trying to do, is raise awareness on the appeal. We have a letter writing campaign. We want people to write because the same thing happened to another girl about less than 2 years before Kiara. Her name is Sativa, and the families have kind of met and we've bonded over both of our family members being murdered by their boyfriends in Mexico, and justice has stalled. So we're writing to the President of the United States, we're writing to the Prime Minister of Canada, we're asking people to write to your local members of Parliament, you know, pick up a pen, send an email. It doesn't take very long, but once people understand that the Justice for Kiara supporters are strong and we're fierce, and we are absolutely going to listen to that kid's words in her diary that said, you know it was him. If I'm ever found missing or dead, you know it was him, and you can't let him get away with it. You best believe, Ryan Friesen, that Kiara's last wishes will be honored. We are not going to let you get away with it.
Thank you. I honor your words. That's really powerful. And in my show notes, I'll put a link to all of this information so that others who feel inspired to be a part of Kiara's fierce team can, because to me that is the most important thing that we all do. So I seen the GoFundMe. I seen an email. Can people do e-transfers to you that way?
Yes, they can, directly into a bank account that is just used for Kiara, like for legal fees. We're trying to raise some money because Kiara's dad would like to put some billboards up in some key areas where there's lots of traffic, and try to just as he can to her story, and for the legal team that we're trying to be there at the appeal so that they can't buy another verdict. That's what we really think happened, is that the verdict was bought.
So can you explain what has happened that you're trying to appeal? What was the situation that he got off, basically?
Yeah, he was charged with femicide when it first happened, and they have found him not guilty of femicide. I believe that a femicide charge is very complicated, and it should have been a murder.
All right. And do we know in Mexico, like, do they have like the first degree, second degree murder, third degree murder, the manslaughter, or is it just like femicide or murder and that's it?
We're not really sure. We weren't really involved in that first leg of the trial, and I hate saying it. I'm ashamed to say it, but we were kind of respectively asked to step aside, and we did. So once the not guilty verdict come out, Naomi got cut off. But what I think she was trying to say is there was two experts, like there was a slew of evidence that proved that, you know, it started in the sports bar, they got in a fight, they left, like there was witnesses, some video surveillance we understand has mysteriously gone missing. And then, so there was all the evidence, and the prosecution down there said it's a slam dunk case. It's a slam dunk case. Like, don't even worry about it, which my background, I said the same thing. Like, he woke up covered in her blood. Like, she was biting at him and scratching at him. She did fight for her freaking life. And that's how we know it was him, because there was no traces of anybody else that she fought on her. So they said that her body was beaten too bad that it couldn't have been one person.
Oh, so him being a professional hockey player that could punch, that probably wasn't brought into account in Mexico authorities because they're just assholes and patriarchal misogynists like they are
Yeah,
here.
yes, absolutely. And I just recently, because I mean, the evidence is so graphic, like it's hard for us to release it, but I just recently saw a picture of his feet, and her blood is splashed up on his feet and his legs, and I believe he stomped her. And maybe that's why the trauma on his hands wasn't so grave, right? He stomped her. And I believe that's why he disconnected the brain stem from her spinal column. And that would be pretty easy to do that way.
What a horrible human being.
That's my opinion on what happened to our girl.
Yeah.
So, since there was no evidence of that, it was basically just theoretically this could have happened, and the judge just went with it. The Mexican prosecution is appealing it, and we're just trying to bring as much attention to it, and we're pleading to anybody who was there from Dawson Creek or anybody else who was there the same time Kiara was there that can bring any new evidence forth or witness testimony to help solidify the case. And like I said, please, like, voices matter. There's something to be said about a movement. And if enough people reach out to Mexico and reach out to their members of parliament and cover this story and get the news watching the story and looking for an outcome, it makes it a lot harder to give a shady verdict when there's millions of eyes looking at Mexico for a just verdict.
Man, thank you so much for that. I know that one of you are in Edmonton. Are you both in Edmonton?
No, I'm in Fort St. John.
Fort St. John. Okay, so we got Fort St. John, Edmonton, Dawson Creek connections here. That's a lot of people that should be on board here. So thank you.
Yeah. And Kiara's from New Brunswick, and we're all from New Brunswick. We're East Coast people, right? And we come out here and for a better life. And it just breaks my heart that Kiara really had her eyes set on this man to have a life with him. And instead of cherishing her, he destroyed her in the worst possible way.
I can't thank you both enough for being on the show and sharing with us this terrible tragedy that 100% preventable had one guy bothered to seek help instead of killing a woman. My heart goes out to both of you, and I will absolutely share this to anyone that will listen. I encourage all of my listeners to share this. I encourage all my listeners to write their MPs, and I encourage all my listeners to monitor this fellow because clearly he needs it.
Yeah. And can I just do a little shout out to somebody that we met at the Edmonton legislature when we were protesting?
Absolutely.
Her name is Elder Taz. I don't know if you know her.
I do.
But she come over and welcomed us, and she took our hand out and held it close to her heart. And she said, so many people say to me, and, I'm quoting her, I hope this doesn't sound off-putting. She said, so many people say to me, if it was a white girl, it wouldn't matter. And she held Kiara's picture close to her heart, and she said, this is proof it happens to everybody, and she's our sister. And it just, the whole community come over and took videos, and Dawson Creek is on Treaty 8, and Elder Taz made it very clear if she had anything to do with making their life difficult, she would absolutely join that fight. And
yeah, no, we're pretty, like, once we get mad, we're mad.
Yeah. Like, I just want to thank your community for just taking on this story. I know it might not be the usual people that you cover, I'm not sure, but we thank you from the bottom of our heart of taking Kiara's story on. We really do.
Well, Kiara is a sister of mine, regardless. I don't, if she's Indigenous or not. Like, to us, treaty means we're partners, right? to us, our ancestors signed those treaties in good faith, and we don't see non-natives as like lesser. We see you as treaty partners that we have to work together. And to me, gendered violence is a real colonial issue and problem that was brought here. And your girls, your women are absolutely affected by that, just as ours are. And like I believe are the 231 calls to justice we need all Canadians advocating for, because that helps all Canadians. That helps all women, but it also helps all the queer community on top of Indigenous women and Indigenous Two-Spirit. So my wish is that people would see that we're all united when it comes to these wrongs. Like you're not allowed to take a life, and you're certainly not allowed to take a life of somebody who's done nothing wrong to you. So I have nothing but the deepest respect for the journey that you guys have unfortunately been forced to go down. And no one should have to do that alone, and even strangers can be loving neighbors in moments like this. So I'm honored to have you both on to talk about it, hopefully raise some more awareness, and hopefully we can get that message out there so that Mexico knows we're watching. We're watching
Yes.
what you're doing to this Canadian woman.
And we've also been writing to the president of Mexico with our letter writing campaign.
Good. Good. Okay, well, we'll put all that information in the show notes. And is there any last words that you'd like to say to Naomi?
Just he took her voice, and everybody that can stand with us helps us be her voice and helps to raise her voice. And all we want to see is the justice, and that if he was not the one that murdered her, then we want whoever murdered her to pay. But in my opinion, there's no one else that you could look towards for what happened to Kiara.
Jeez. Tanya, would you like to add anything else today?
Again, I want to thank you for reaching out to us. And I just want to say to any young woman out there who is maybe in a domestic violence situation that is listening to us tonight, he's not going to change. And monsters don't learn, they grow. And you deserve more, just like Kiara deserves more. And if they're going to hurt you, that's not love, because love doesn't hurt. Justice for Kiara.
Justice for Kiara. Thank you both. I know these are very difficult conversations, and I thank you all for staying with us. I hope that you see in the show notes some of the solutions that we have. And again, I encourage you to write your MP. I wanted to also mention that we have our book club coming up. I just did George's Erasmus, fantastic book. I hope that you get a chance to listen to that. We're going to have Reconciling History, Jody Wilson Rainbow's fourth book, and Rosh Han Danish is the co-author. So really excited to read that book with you all. And we still want to give a shout out to November's book club, Medicine Line by Tony Rees, because of the war that we obviously are in with the US. I hate this more than anything in the world, and I wish we were not having this conversation at all. But since we have been forced to, I think it's important that people know their history about the border between Canada and the US and why it exists the way it does. I want to say masicho to my ancestors, to my granny, to my mom, of what strength looks like through your example. I want to thank my dad for teaching me to be strong and blunt, my stepmom for showing me what a proud culture is through her Austrian family and roots, and stepping up for teaching me to be a proud Calgarian. It is through her I am a second generation proud Calgarian. Thank you to my husband, Darcy, for producing and editing the show. He's been my husband, my childhood friend, father of our child, and support down this journey of life he has witnessed. Decades of racism and sexism. And to our child, we are blessed to learn from you. We are honored you chose us. We recognize you are now technically, legally an adult. You give me daily accountability to be a better and stronger person. I hope my daughter and my family will be proud in the future of us trying to discuss these present day issues. I honor the Blackfoot, as the elders and members have been so kind on my Red Road journey. Elder Red Crane taught me how to pronounce my spirit name in Blackfoot, and Leonard Kemi taught me how to say it in Satu Dene. My humblest apologies to all language keepers as I try to learn proper pronunciation. My Patreon account is Native Calgarian, where you can pledge and support. Thank you, previous donors, for showing your support. If you value listening or watching and can afford to give, thank you. For those who cannot afford to give, I'd love to hear from you at nativeyyc@gmail.com, where you can send in your comments or questions. I have a YouTube channel that you can go and subscribe. Go to nativecalgarian.com for the latest podcasts and pin posts on social media. The last thing I like to do, especially after such a difficult conversation, is a positive touch grass moment, and my little trinket has been fixed. So we will now be able to host people and not have to worry about him going a little too crazy. And hopefully, both him and Hugo will get along better and better. And as always, I can't thank you enough for listening. And I always end with that side eye to those Calgary rabbits. You're lucky I'm not your dish. How my beautiful cousin would respond, or you'd be in my dish. Thanks, folks, for listening.